go back to the top story we have today. FBN Quest releasing Nigeria's manufacturing data for the month of April, showing positive reading 58.9 on the PMI index, showing large companies employing more than 200 people are the leaders of the latest industrial uptake report we've seen for the month we just finished on Sunday. The report showing all the 5 sub-indices in positive territory, led by employment, showing 55, the first time we've seen employment uptick in the PMI since November of 2015. Okay, let's leave it there, but we got a lot to talk about the oil and gas industry. But let's start with this from commodities market update, and we're focusing on oil production, refining challenges, the modular business, and of course the pricing template. Bringing Ada Akonobi, who is an investment analyst with Financial Derivatives Company. Good morning.
Good morning, boss.
Thanks. Good to have you here. We keep running around production all the time. The OPEC had a meeting. We have a meeting later this month. One major issue on the agenda, Nigeria's production has been ramping up a little bit more steadily. A big thank you to the folks in the Niger Delta. Where are we at the moment as far as oil production is concerned? And of course, good news, we got Forcados back on stream.
Oh yes, we have the Forcados back on stream. So our production will go back, because when they went up for maintenance, we had a shortfall of about 250,000 barrels per day. But now that's going to bump our production back up to 1.6, 1.7. But then, you know, we are doing relatively well. Like I mentioned earlier, there's been relative calm in the Niger Delta region, and the federal government and the oil producers are working very hard as well to bring our production back up. OPEC will meet later on in May to work on the production cut policy to see if there's going to be some sort of extension. And a lot of oil traders or analysts are looking at anticipating, you know, waiting for the response to know where oil prices will head.
Everyone's looking at where the oil production is there. Do you think this will lift prices? This morning, July delivery for Brent is around 51.40.
Well, there's a lot of volatility, and the market is still trying to weigh. Like we said, OPEC has an agenda. The U.S., there's another agenda on the U.S. So Trump, you know, the U.S. production is about 6% year on year compared to what it was last year, and there's been swelling inventories, and so there's still, you know, they're still trying to weigh. Even if OPEC comes to an agreement sometime in May, the U.S. rising production as well as inventories would definitely limit gains. So there's a lot of volatility.
I'm scared a little bit for Nigeria, perhaps when the May 25th meeting holds and Nigeria said, hold on folks, your production is back, we think you should take a haircut. Do you see that as likely to happen?
Well, our production target was 2.2, but we are not close to 2.2 anyway. We're about 1.7. So I think they may still give us some leeway or room to, you know, get our production.
From June?
Yes.
Or extend it?
Extend it. Yes. So it's something that we have to, you know, follow through. The Iranian minister has said that he feels there's some sort of positive sentiment coming up, and they feel that they will reach an agreement, OPEC and non-OPEC producers, but we'll see.
In your opinion, what do you think we should do? Should we just ramp up to 2.2, 2.5 maximum capacity and take a haircut, or just stay below the radar and keep enjoying it?
I'm sure we'd want to ramp up to 2.2, but there's still a lot of constraints anyway, so we can't get our productions back up because of maybe infrastructural deficit. So I'm sure that's our target, 2.2, but however, we are still at 1.7, and I'm sure the government or the federal government or the bodies involved will want to get our production back up to 2.2, get our revenue streams back on, and slowly, you know, come up from the economic downturn that we are.
Yeah, we've seen a bit of a bad news, but this one good news. That's here in what you folks at FDC put together. The lower diesel prices to reduce logistics costs. It looks like diesel prices is a little bit heading south.
Yes, which is good news, because diesel prices were trading about 230 about 2 months ago, and that has affected a lot of goods, services, because business owners had to factor in the fact that diesel prices are higher, and you know, that kind of affected prices generally. But now prices are down. We may begin to see tapering of prices. But the major question everyone asks is, the exchange rate has stabilized. That we have, well, the exchange rate is about 380, 290 as opposed to 420, 30 as it was. But then food prices are still sticky downwards. So it's quite interesting because the market women and stores are not actually reducing prices, but they've just left prices flat as it is.
So, do we still blame that on on petrol prices or petrol products prices?
No, not petrol product prices. Actually, petrol prices are actually 0.3% lower compared to what it was last month, although it's still above the cap of 145 naira per litre. But that is not on petrol prices, probably on other constraints.
In terms of, if you go back to refining capacities, and this is one issue that everybody still, Ministry of Petroleum Resources think the modular refinery is the way to go, and they're wrapping up that discussion. Dr. Kachiko has a podcast on their website as far as the modular refinery issue is concerned. What's your take on that?
Well, Kachiko has said that there may be some sort of repricing of petrol, because when they set the price at 145, oil prices were trading at $20 per barrel, $30 per barrel. But now oil prices are over $50 per barrel, and it's only normal that you go back to reprice as such. So, and then we have a lot of importers, oil importers exiting the market because it's relatively expensive, and the NNPC now accounts for about 90 to 95% of the oil importation. So it's something that they're going back to work on and try to stabilize the market. But there will be no upward review in pricing, but they will try to reprice.
Apart from diesel, it looks like kerosene and petrol still remain where they were. And if you look at the pricing template around the market now, it looks like kerosene looks like the highest priced products of the three main products.
Oh yes, because kerosene, diesel, and diesel prices are down, but kerosene prices are back up. I'd attribute that to increased demand and probably distribution and jet fuel. So I'm not pretty sure.
Now let's go back to the bigger picture. Where do you see prices? And we're talking about Brent July delivery around 51. Okay, you have seen 51, 71. WTI, that's the US oil at 49.05. Where do you see price going back to? We've seen 55, we've seen 56 since January.
I believe, we think that oil prices will remain relatively flat as it is. Like I said, pending on the OPEC. We know the oil market.
I don't mind prices being flat. I just want it to be flat at what level? Perhaps 50, be flat at 50 doesn't look good, won't look good to economic planners and managers in Nigeria. They rather have it flat at maybe 56.
Yes, which is favorable, but the oil market is extremely volatile. Any news, any geopolitical tension can drive prices up or, any disaster. So now it's extremely volatile, but pending the outcome of the OPEC meeting, we expect prices to trade, as it is. And when the ERU releases inventory data and US production, we get to know how oil prices.
So to all intents and purposes, we're likely stock around this 51,
yes,
52 price band until the 25th of May. That's about 3 weeks plus.
Yes,
when the OPEC meets, then we'll know where we are as far as our prices is concerned. That's very interesting.
So any positive news from the OPEC meeting, there'll be a knee-jerk reaction, obviously, in the price.